You have to take your books outside to read them today. An estimated 5 million Americans suffer from Alzheimer's disease, and that number is only growing. Sandy Kalunke from the Brown County Library is here with some books on Alzheimer's and aging. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning.
Okay, so why did you pick these books today?
Well, in particular, I was interested in talking a little bit about the book Still Alice.
So we're hearing a lot about, I mean, we all know somebody that has Alzheimer's.
Right, and it affects a growing segment of the population, and this is a book that I think is a really good example of the power of storytelling, where somebody has created a fictional story that really exposes the reality of a disease. It's told from the viewpoint of Alice. She is a 50-year-old woman who's a Harvard professor. She's married, has 3 children, starts to have problems with her memory and initially thinks that it's stress or it's menopause, but then she gets lost in her own neighborhood and realizes it's something more serious and is eventually diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, and then it kind of takes it from there in terms of showing what happens to a person after that diagnosis.
It's called Still Alice, and the author is a doctor, is that right?
She has a PhD in neuroscience from Harvard, and so her science background really comes through in the story. I mean, it's very accurate. Some people have criticized the book that it's almost it's not dramatic enough, that it's a little bit clinical, but it's like the facts speak for themselves, and I think the reader is the one that supplies the emotion in that you can empathize with the characters.
And I imagine it brings up a lot of topics that would be good discussion at book clubs too.
Oh yeah, and discussion within families because of the prevalence of the disease. So it brings up a lot of kind of what-if questions. So for instance, the daughters in this story find out that they are able to actually take a genetic test to find out if they have this specific mutation that is linked to the type of Alzheimer's that Alice has, and that's not true of all types of Alzheimer's or dementia. And so they have to make a decision. Do I want to know? And then there's a lot of other issues that it raises in terms of the effects of this on family members and how family members respond.
Yep.
So it is very discussable.
Yeah, and in somebody so young as Alice too, right, how it suddenly affects the family rather than if she was older, where they would be more prepared for something like that.
Her whole career, she's at the peak of her career, which is the type that really relies on her brain power, and then she can't do it anymore. So what is left that's meaningful in her life? But you find out.
And remember, she's still Alice.
She is still Alice.
So that's one of them. And touch on the other 3 real quickly, if you would, Sandy.
This book, I Feel Bad About My Neck, is a much lighter. It's a much lighter book by Nora Ephron, who is probably best known as a screenwriter. She wrote the screenplay for Sleepless in Seattle and When Harry Met Sally. And it's a collection of essays, and there's a lot more humor in those. And this is a large print edition that I brought. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button by F. Scott Fitzgerald is actually a short story. It's a very quick, enjoyable read, and it was the inspiration for the movie that came out a few years ago. So a lot of people probably haven't
Brad Pitt.
Haven't read the original story, and this is actually from a collection of his stories.
And I've been hearing a lot about this one too.
Yes, and that's another one that's real good for book clubs and for people who really recognize the role that books can play in keeping people talking.
Okay, the End of Your Life book club is what it's called, right?
Yes, and it's about a man and his mother. His mother's been, this is another sad one, has been diagnosed with cancer, but they get together regularly and they talk about the books that they've read. They talk about a lot of really good books, so it gives you a lot of good reading ideas, and it really gets across how books can help people communicate about a big variety of topics.
Awesome. Okay, so these books, we'll list them on our website, fox11online.com. Click on Good Day Wisconsin, and you'll be linked to the Brown County Library, and they have all the suggested titles that they have brought to the show for us. Thanks, Sandy.
You're welcome.